What up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to talk about Tory Lanez and a petition that he recently started advocating for the protection of black men. And I know some of you out there are already like, protect black men from what? Accountability? Child support? What exactly, right? So what I'm going to do is read through this article that I found and let you know what Tory Lanez is talking about. Also let you know what I think about this. And also just provide some commentary as well. So the title of this article is Tory Lanez issues petition to keep our black men on Coachella and other festivals. Tory Lanez launched his petition days after one was created to prevent Kanye West from performing at the Coachella Festival next month. So apparently some folks have gotten together, have united to prevent Kanye West from performing at this upcoming Coachella Festival. And it's probably because Kanye West does not look like he's mentally stable. Looks like he could be a hazard to himself as well as other people as well. And his situation seems to be getting worse and worse by the day. And as well, media outlets and blogs and social media is tracking this day by day. And like every other day, if not every day, there's a story involving Kanye West in the media, and the stories are not positive. And I know that the Grammys have banned Kanye West, at least temporarily, as well. But let's get into this article a bit more. Tory Lanez is furthering his Protect Black Men movement with an online petition to keep black male artists on the festival stage. Oh boy. Okay. Alright. Let's get into this one. It looks like Tory Lanez is advocating for, rich, upper class, high earning black men to continue to have these opportunities even if they are acting a fool out in public and possibly putting other people's lives in danger. But no, the black man has to have his opportunities. And if he doesn't, he is a victim that needs to be protected. Again, with this black man victim narrative that continues to go on and on and on and on. Let's continue. A recent Change.org petition calling for the removal of Kanye West from the Coachella lineup has garnered thousands of signatures, and rightfully so. Now, Tory Lanez urges, quote unquote, keep our black men on Coachella and other festivals, all other festivals. Okay, Tory, you acting like these folks have just gotten together just because Kanye West is black and said, no, you can't perform at this festival. If that was the case, then all right, you would have more of a motive to create a petition. Even though I should be petitioning to be at somewhere, to be at a place you're not wanted, to perform at a venue that you're not wanted. But that's not the case. That's not the case. So let's continue with this article. He, Tory Lanez, took to Twitter on Tuesday afternoon to share the petition. Quote unquote, I just made this because someone has to. Black power fist emoji ×3. He wrote. So, boy, I tell you, folks will use the black plight to push their agendas. They want to push the LGBTQIA elemental P agenda to push the feminist agenda, to push the Hispanic Latino agenda. Stop using the black plight and stop using black people to push your agendas. All right, let's continue. Tory Lanez says, quote unquote, we must make a change. Okay, this is when Tory Lanez wants to come through and speak up and advocate for something. I mean, never mind he was accused of, shooting Megan Thee Stallion in the foot, and he hasn't really been speaking about that too much and advocating for the protection of women, especially black women. But, folks usually just stick with what they know best. So the article continues. Sitting at nearly 600 signatures, Tory Lamez explained his position in the description. Quote unquote, we are watching the industry and fake cancel culture remove all of our legendary black celebrities and black moguls from festivals, from our culture, and from our lives. And it starts with us, he urged. We must make a change so that we can keep our black men thriving. We stood for equal rights of black men 2 years ago with George Floyd. What changed from then to now in regards to protection of black man? A man is not his craft, and the craft should never be judged by the man. Don't let them use our personal life situations to make false stories that have been misconstrued to hinder and taint our legacies. Stand for us. We are the backbone of culture. Okay, so let's unpack all of this right here. All right, so first, we are watching the industry and fake cancel culture remove all of our legendary black men, black celebrities, and black moguls from festivals, from culture, our culture, and from our lives, and it starts with us. Can you name some examples of this, of some black men wrongfully being removed from like festivals, the culture, our lives? Because I feel like he may be low-key referring to maybe like an R. Kelly situation, and I'm like, no, not today. A victim, he's a victimizer. He creates victims. All right. And I know somebody gonna come through and cape for R. Kelly and throw on the cape and cape for the And I did hear one argument someone not posted, but said, and basically comparing like R. Kelly's situation to like Sonny and Cher's situation, and saying, oh, well, y'all was cool with that, but y'all ain't cool with R. Kelly. I'm like, well, those situations, the thing is, if R. Kelly had just stopped, with Aaliyah, I think he probably wouldn't be in jail at this point. And as far as I know, I think Sonny stopped with Cher. I don't think he made it a habit to continue to pursue women who are underage as he grew older. So, yeah, Sonny and Cher got a pass, and so did R. Kelly and Aaliyah. So what's the beef with that? Well, I can understand a beef with that, saying like, oh, well, they shouldn't have gotten passes from the get-go. I can understand that argument, but people, come through and try and cape for R. Kelly on the backs of like white men. And I'm sick of it. I'm sick of predators being protected in the black community, particularly black male predators being protected in the black community. What's up with that? Why I want to give cover to these type of dudes? Why? And I think that the black community kind of has a problem with holding black men accountable at times. And I know there's an argument against that as well, where it's like, well, black men are held accountable for everything. Everything wrong in the black community is the black man's fault. And I know there's some talk about that too, but I do think that black men people are way more willing to scrape together an excuse for a black man's degeneracy, shortcomings, mistakes, etc., versus a black woman's. But that's another story. I wish Tory had, presented a few examples of what he's talking about, and maybe I could dissect those a bit more. Maybe he's referring to maybe like a Michael Jackson situation, or perhaps, what's that guy? Bill Cosby situation. And I know some of y'all gonna get mad for what I'm about to say. I know, because I know y'all love y'all Michael Jackson. And, I feel you on that. I do. All right. And I know y'all like and love Bill Cosby too. I understand that. I really do. But when it comes to Bill Cosby, he did do at least something. I know those accusations were kind of like trumped up, but he did go on record as having done something like that and settling out of court for that. And also committing infidelity in the process too. And not that infidelity is a crime, but karma is a what though. But as far as I know, Bill Cosby is out of jail, so hopefully justice has been served. In regards to Michael Jackson, I just feel like Michael Jackson, I do feel like his charges, his accusations rather, were a bit trumped up, where it's like, okay, have you ever even been in the same state as Michael Jackson? But I think that, Michael Jackson did a little bit of something, something. I don't know what, but it was a little bit of something, something. But, all that's, all those things are other stories for other days. Let's get back to this story, though. We must make a change so that we can keep our black men thriving. And by the way, this is centering around black men, primarily, if not exclusively. I don't really think black women are going to be involved in this advocacy all that much, other than to bring them in to advocate for black men. They'll do that. They love mules, mammy picking mule types. They love that. They love having workhorses, workers, and don't really give much in return for the advocacy that black women do on the behalf of black men. And he goes on to say, we stood for equal rights of black men 2 years ago with George Floyd. Yeah, we did. And this also gets me to thinking, like, who is this really directed towards? Like, the black community or people outside of the black community? And I'm thinking it's probably more so directed to people outside of the black community, but also the people within the black community as well. And he mentions George Floyd. And also, you remember that Ahmaud Arbery was a part of that, and as well, Breonna Taylor. And by the way, George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, they did receive justice in the fact that their murderers are behind bars. However, Breonna Taylor, a black woman, she has not received that same justice. And she was just minding her own business at her own living, her own apartment, sleeping. And I believe the warrant wasn't even for her, it was for her ex-boyfriend. She was not passing off counterfeit currency. She was not trespassing on property. Not that those offenses warrant an on-site death sentence, by the way, because they do not. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying she seemingly would be the least guilty of the three, yet she has not received any justice as far as her murderers, her killers being sentenced to anything. Like, they're still out and about being able to live their life Yeah. And by the way, I do think that that whole George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor protest that happened um, during, you know, 2020, I do think that that kind of maybe brainwashed a little bit of black folks, especially younger black folks, and seemingly helped push the illusion of inclusion, kind of like, oh, you know, because of this big outpouring of support from other non-black people for Breonna, Ahmaud, and George, oh, it makes it seem like they're really down for, you know, protecting black people and advocating for black people. And it's like, well, no, not quite. The thing is, at that time, it was just on trend to do those things. And also, you got to remember the time that that happened in, too, by the way. That happened when COVID 19 was on and strong. Folks was been quarantined for a minute, you know, and this was just them being able to get outside of the house and having a proper reason to do that. By the way, people didn't do that on behalf of Breonna Taylor. They were like, well, it's a pandemic outside, so we can't protest. But when it came to George and Ahmaud, especially George, it was like, bump a pandemic, we out there and we gonna protest. But let's continue. A man is not his craft, and the craft should never be judged by the man. Don't let them use our personal life situations to make fake stories that have been misconstrued to hinder and taint our legacies. Stand for us. We are the backbone of culture. So let's unpack this. Don't let them use our personal life situations to make false stories or fake stories that have been misconstrued to hinder and taint our legacies. Can you be specific, Tory? I feel like he's perhaps. The thing is, this is on behalf of Kanye, or at least he kind of triggered you to do this. And I don't really think these are false stories. These aren't false stories. They aren't fake stories. Perhaps maybe they're exaggerated a bit, but I don't think these are fake stories to hinder and taint your legacies. You know, it's always a conspiracy against the black man. The whole world against the black man. The system against the black man. Black women against black men. The entire universe, both known and unknown, is against the black man. We is targeted from the day we was born. And we stay targeted to the day we die. And the thing is, I'm not saying that, you know, situations when it comes to like discrimination, marginalization, oppression directed at black men doesn't exist. You know, I'm not saying that there are no problems at all. That's not what I'm saying. But oftentimes I do see people trying to use the black struggle, the black plight, to push their own particular self-centered, self-serving agendas. And I'm thinking this is what's going on with Tory Lamez. Because I really think he's just trying to do this to just ultimately advocate for himself, but also Kanye West as well. And people within his tax bracket, basically. You know, black men within his tax bracket and perhaps his profession, right? This isn't really geared towards your average, everyday brother on Main Street working 9 to 5. Nah. And it's not to say that, you know, higher earning black men don't have issues. black men in the industry don't have issues. I'm not saying that. But when you compare the situation of, the Kanye West and the Tory Lanez to the brothers on Main Street, it would be a bit weird to have brothers on Main Street advocating for brothers who can afford to drop money back to back to back on Rodeo Drive, as if they are as marginalized as the brothers on Main Street. And also, a lot of people are truly self-serving and selfish because they will use the black plight, the black struggle, the movement, and ride the movement until they get what they want. Then they hop off the movement and keep it pushing. And a lot of people do that when it comes to black people, including black people. And you really have to watch out for those types of people because they are not for the betterment of the community. They're not for the betterment of your gender or your race. They're for the betterment of themselves and their pockets and their opportunities and their access to money. And by the way, Kanye West is supposedly a billionaire. Like, Kanye West is going to be okay as far as money is concerned and opportunities are concerned. I believe he has a successful clothing line of some sort as well. Out of all the black men that need advocacy, I don't think Kanye West should be on the top of that list. At least not when it comes to like money and opportunities. Now, when it comes to mental health, yes, we can put Kanye West on that list. And to the black women out there, I think that you should stay out of advocating for Kanye West's mental health, at least for the time being, and let black men advocate for the status of Kanye West's mental health. Not saying that you can't be concerned, not saying that you can't be sympathetic or empathetic, but I'm saying don't go all in full force because you may end up being used, abused maybe even, and thrown back. Don't let them use up all your, black healing female black queen energy, to heal themselves up so they can go run back to Kim Kardashians and other preferences. And meanwhile, not giving you anything. Not even a thank you in some cases. Not even any acknowledgement in some cases. Let's continue with the rest of this article. Tory concluded, quote unquote, "If we lose this fight, we lose the head of the same culture that we have known and loved and owned for the last 2,000 years. The black man needs to be protected. The first step is to protect our culture. Help us." So Tory Lanez, he is calling out for help. He's saying that black men done created any and every culture that is known to man, at least within the last 2,000 years. And because of this, black men deserve and also need to be protected. And the people out there, they have to do that. What culture is he actually referring to exactly? Because one, I'm thinking, okay, it's like hip hop, that type of culture. Then perhaps maybe like African American culture, maybe. But Tory Lanez is from Canada. I don't know. Or maybe just like black culture, quote unquote, in general. I'm not sure quite what he is referring to. Because he said, if we lose this fight, we lose the head of the same culture that we have known and loved and owned for the last 2,000 years. The black man needs to be protected. Protected from what exactly? Accountability? Responsibility? Being punished for crimes that he committed? But whoever wrote this article is like a little low-key, a bit of a low-key shady person. Because right after this, right after this, black men need to be protected. The first step is protecting our culture. Help us. Right after this, the article goes on to say the following. Tory Lamez, currently on trial for allegedly shooting Megan Thee Stallion in the foot, tweeted his concerns on Monday. I don't care what y'all have to say, he began. We are black men and we matter. Don't wait until we are lynched, lied on, and character assassinated to realize they have removed all of our legends and role models from the conversation. Oh boy. Can Tory Lanez be specific about these, lies, character assassinations, and lynch? What black man has been lynched in the last probably 50 years or so? I'm talking about lynch. I know police brutalities are like the new lynchings for black men, but I'm talking about like lynch, like on a tree, hanging from a tree. See, they like to really trigger black people with this type of talk. They know how to trigger black people. Like, oh no, lynching, oh no, we can't have the black man lynched on the tree. We gotta advocate for our kinds. And all of these people are not legends and role models that you should be looking toward as some sort of a model for you yourself. Like just because they are legends and role models, quote unquote, doesn't mean that they cannot be held accountable and responsible for something that they have actually done. And of course, as usual, black men's advocacy and quote unquote pro-blackness does not extend to black women. And as I've mentioned before, I am very suspicious. It is a major red flag when someone's pro-black advocacy consistently skips over black women, whether this is a black man or a black woman. Because black women come through and do similar things as well. But to be fair, Tory Lanez did kind of preface this as being advocacy on the behalf of black men. So he's not trying to put it as like black people, but really just black men. So he was a bit more upfront about that. But when people think of black men, they think of black people too. Which is true, black men are black people, of course, definitely. But like when people think of black women, I don't think they automatically think of black people. Rather, they just think of black women. Black women equal black women. Black men equal black people. That's why in the community, we don't really have quote unquote black men issues. We just have black issues. And then we have black women's issues. But we don't really have black men's issues, quote unquote. We do, but we don't. We do in the sense that a lot of times black men's issues are pushed to the forefront. But the thing is, they are presented as being communal issues that the whole community deals with, or issues that affect the whole community. While black women's issues are not pushed like that. But that's the end of the article, though. That's all, that's, as I read it, that's all that Lamez has to say. And by the way, if Kanye West was a black woman, just change the sex and gender of Kanye to Kanyetta West, these same dudes would not be jumping up to advocate on behalf of Kanyetta West. They would be going about their day-to-day business per usual. And as well, as far as the black community, and as far as really any other community, I don't really think Kanye West has been canceled. And I really think as far as the black community is concerned, Kanye West should have been canceled a long time ago. If Kanye West was a black woman and been in an interracial relationship, said that slavery was a choice, you know, showing the Confederate flag, saying that he only wants multiracial, ambiguous women to participate in his fashion show, etc., 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 Kanye West would have been canceled. So I really don't think that people are like just gaining up on Kanye West just because, he's a black man. People are gaining up on Kanye West because he's seemingly not in his right state of mind, perhaps. He is like threatening people, he's harassing people. And it looks like someone perhaps could get hurt if this goes on for too long. And as well, I really think that Kanye West is really suffering from a mixture of like King Kong syndrome, and it's being exacerbated by his mental illness, like the bipolar, and the King Kong syndrome. Basically, that's just y'all know the story, King Kong, right? And also, I guess I'll get to that part a little bit later, but King Kong, right? He was living his life or whatever. Then he became obsessed with the white woman when he saw her, and he wound up getting captured because of her, and he was able to escape, but he wound up, pursuing the white woman again, and then he got caught up and killed because of his pursuit of this white woman, in this case, Kim Kardashian. And King Kong syndrome is basically just referring to black people, particularly black men, who kind of just seemingly just go through so much suffering and anguish over their like non-black, especially white female, girlfriends, wives, baby mamas, significant others, whatever you want to call them, whatever they are. And just go through so much suffering for them. Like King Kong went through suffering for Jane. And the bipolar mental illness is exacerbating this situation, probably. And also notice, they have remade the movie King Kong plenty of times. Y'all may not have picked up on that, but seemingly almost every generation has a King Kong. Like the silent generation, I think they had a King Kong. Maybe the baby boomers. The Gen X had a King Kong. The millennials, King Kong, I think, maybe. Gen Z, definitely. Like they have remade that movie about maybe 4 or 5 times, I think. Okay, I pulled up the page on Wikipedia. So the first King Kong was in 1933. Then it was the Son of King Kong in 1933 as well. King Kong vs. Godzilla in 1962. King Kong Escapes 1967. King Kong 1976. King Kong Lives 1986. The Mighty Kong 1998. Kong of Atlantis 2005. King Kong 2005. Kong Return to the Jungle 2006. Kong Skull Island 2017. Godzilla vs. Kong 2021. So seemingly every generation does have a King Kong of some sort. Why do you think that is? And I'm not much for conspiracies, but I'm just saying it's something to think about, though. It's almost like they're trying to push and send a message to each generation. But what exactly? But I'm going to end the video there, right there. But thank you very much for watching this video. Please let me know what you think about this situation with Tory Lamez and his lame petition. Let me know in the comments section below. Thank you very much for watching. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.